Hey everybody, welcome back. We're here to talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 4. Had a little bit of delay this weekend, had some ongoings. We worked through our schedules, we all got together. The lovely Shreddy Eddie and Mike are here to talk about this today. So yeah, let's just jump into the episode and see what these guys are talking about, what they're up to.
Bring me WolverThor!
Hey guys, what's going on? You how you been? Miss you guys.
Hey, Thori.
What's
up, bud?
Life's good. I mentioned some name of Shreddy Eddie or something. I don't know. I don't remember. what it
Nah,
said,
man. Nah, hey, that's my fault for us getting this video in late. I was shooting a short film over the weekend, and so we're getting to it now. And for the folks who are eager to see this, that's on me. My bad. But thanks for coming.
No, it's all good. We love the tripod effect of all three of us being here to chat about it. So we can make those things work. But yeah, so episode 4 for me, you know, I'll just do kind of like the high overarching thing that I saw. To me, it was a great episode. A lot of things coming together. You know, we've had different storylines. There was less power broker in this one. There's a little bit, but they started bringing a lot of the stuff together. I'm really hyped for the final 2 episodes. Lots of balls still in the air to see what's going on. Dora Milaje, Io.
I think it's Io.
Dude,
yeah.
Io? Yeah, I think it's how you say AOYO. She's pretty, I mean, we always knew she was kind of a badass, but yeah, I just gotta say yeah, we'll get to that scene, but yeah, they're just bomb. They're bomb. So,
Next level.
Yeah, as far as like overarching themes of the episode or anything like that, you guys, am I kind of on the mark in your mind, Mike? Is that, you think I'm missing anything there? Is it?
No, I think it was a solid episode. I think it definitely gears up to the last 2 episodes are just going to be nuts. And from what I've read, this next episode is going to be the longest one so far. So I think we're looking at like full on hour episodes. So yeah, I think once we go through everything that happened, I think these last 2 are now full throttle.
Nice. What about you, Eddie?
For sure. Great episode. Really enjoyed it. A lot of little details that amounted to one big detail at the end that we're all going to talk about. I'm very excited to talk about. Yeah, and then the Dora Milaje, Io, and the whole group. I mean, that little sequence in the middle was dope. And yeah, plenty of questions too. And just leading up to the final 2 episodes. Didn't know the next one was an hour though, Mike. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm
Thanks,
excited
bud.
about that. That's for sure. So, the first scene that we had was Wakanda 6 years ago, right? So that's how this starts. And honestly, I didn't expect him to go here, but it was the Sebastian Stan Io scene, and I want to just like Sebastian Stan in my mind, like. I just think he killed this scene overall. You really felt, I mean, it's for especially such a short amount of time. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I think part of it was the cinematography and the flashbacks and how they did it, but I still think his acting in that, just showing, you know, how kind of him getting rid of or curing himself, whatever it was with the Winter Soldier situation. I loved it. Now, there was some talk about maybe there was some love interest or something between the 2. I don't know about that. But Eddie, what was your takeaway from this scene? Is there anything that you saw on that?
I loved when first of all we go back 6 years prior. So apparently from what I read, 6 years prior was the moment of Wakanda with Io, and then a month after that was when Thanos was headed to Wakanda, and then Bucky's back in battle. So like this series takes place 6 months after Endgame. So like from the moment he was cured right there to now, there's never been a moment where he was able to kind of like chill and just relax and kind of come back to being Bucky Barnes. He's always kind of been, I'm Bucky again, but I'm still fighting. Like, I haven't had a chance to kind of relax and kind of be myself again. And so the sequence, you know, it was powerful. I was really impressed with the sequence. And then when she's rattling off all the Russian terms that, you know, get him to become the Winter Soldier, he's still scared of the possibility of what might happen. And then I love like the little flashbacks to Winter Soldier and Infinity War, just moments. I think there was one where he's like homecoming, and the shot was like when he was punching Steve on the helicarrier in Winter Soldier, which I watched last night actually just to kind of refresh my memory. And when it was all said and done, you know, the tears, and he has his hand here, he's crying. It was a really powerful scene. And I like that they showed it because, I mean, they showed Wanda's whole history in WandaVision, so it felt right to kind of see how he became Bucky again, because I feel like it's important, because it would have sucked if it was just like they put him in cryo freeze, they put a needle in his arm and it's over. That'd been whack. But it was a whole sequence like showing the process and how it was done, and it was done outside of Wakanda, so it was like miles away from the city. They did it in some like forest. I thought that was great. Mike, you can
what
go ahead.
do you got, Mike?
No, I agree. I thought I was very much in the sense, even when Infinity War happened, because you kind of see him, like you said, go into the cryo freeze in Wakanda, and then Infinity War, he's just like in a hut, like moving hay barrels. So you kind of like to see the moment he knew he was clear or free, if you will. And I thought it was good acting. Sebastian Stan, killed that scene. And in terms of love interest Thor, I think the way I see it is Ayo. I don't know. Ayo.
Interpretation.
I can't read. I think it's more of like a true friendship. The way it seemed like she helped him through the whole progression to not become to get out of it. So I think it's more of like a partnership and a friendship, and I saw more of a love interest. I could be wrong, but that's it's the way they made it seem when they filmed that was like she was out in the woods with him for a very long time. Just getting him through the whole process.
Yeah, no, that's true. So you guys are probably right there. The scene after that is those two again. It's just back in the present. He basically, she's pushed. Then they want Zemo. The Wakandans want Zemo. She's obviously got serious beef with Zemo, not just for Team T'Chaka. But she was there on guard. He didn't have the whole Dora Milaje there, but she was there. Because she was with Black Panther after that. So there's clearly, she probably feels some responsibility for that. So she probably wants Zemo even worse. But, he gives her back what I call the walk balls, the Wakanda balls, walk balls. I don't know. That's probably not a thing, but I just said it. So gives him a deadline, 8 hours, and then they're coming for Zemo. And basically Winter Soldier shares it with that the Wakandans are there for Zemo. I didn't take much from the scene with Ayo there, but if you guys have anything to add, do you have anything to add to that small part? I think it was just basically them talking and setting the deadline, and, then he goes back and he starts talking to, Sam and Zemo, but nothing from the alley scene from you guys that you picked up there.
My whole thing with that, I would say, in any movie or TV show, whenever someone gives someone a deadline, they never meet it. So I took that. I knew there was going to be some sort of conflict. Like, it's not going to happen at 8. I was just like, this is going to be irrelevant. There's going to be a fight to get Zemo. That's just how I took it. And it was just like a basic conversation.
I got you.
Right. I agree with Mike. It's like, it's one of those things where you're like, this isn't going to go through. We know it's not going to work out. And, I do like how he used the phrase. He's a means to an end, the same way that he used it on him in the prison. So I did like that. Just to kind of let her know that we have our own plan with him too, not just we're using him as well as he's using us. I think that that's that little tie in there was pretty cool. But I mean, the scene was just a bridge to a bridge to the storyline. So that's all good.
I feel you. All right, so when Winter Soldier goes back up, or Bucky goes back up to Sam, he says that he tells Sam that Carly bombed the place, and they basically had a discussion. I think there was like a news article that popped up, or he got a text or something, and basically said that Carly bombed, and that the Flag Smashers are having demands. They're arguing about basically who Carly is. Is she a terrorist, or is she actually got some righteous cause? Sam makes some comment that, she's just a kid, and Zemo again says she's a problem. Sam wants it in a peaceful way. Zemo doesn't. And, I sum that up pretty in a macro sense, but I think this is really laying the foundation for this discussion to further kind of evolve, where Sam is looking for peaceful ways. He thinks that maybe there's some good in her. He wants to explore those. Zemo is very much on the opposite end of that front. So, they're discussing a little bit, but, one other thing that was thrown in this scene when they're talking about the super soldier serum is Zemo saying, there's never been another Steve Rogers, which I found very, very interesting because he did talk about the super soldier stuff. But anyway, it's a lot for one scene. There was a whole bunch of dialogue there. Eddie, I'm going to throw it to you.
Sure.
Tell me what you saw there.
It was, I think, what do you say? It was the desire to become superhuman. Was that what it was? And there's never been anyone else like Steve Rogers. He's been the one and only style of Captain America that we've seen, who's been the pinnacle of American like superhero. It kind of throws back to the comics of like back in the day. It was like Superman and Captain America. They were attempts to reframe the idea of a Superman, but it was like I think it was in kind of what's the word I'm thinking of? It was kind of in a way that like Nazi propaganda kind of did the the virtues of that, how they perceive Americans. It was kind of like the opposite of that. That's what they were going for when they made Captain America and Superman. It was like but like it has American ideals, and it was like what Zemo said in the piece. You can't do that without the American ideals, and that's why it's so risky. I do like that they were talking about. He was like, "There's nothing to discuss. You shot the man." Like it was like he's trying to like justify why he did it. Like you shot him. Like what are you talking about? But one thing I do want to talk about is that like when you're looking at the super soldier serum. And who's taking it? Steve took it because he was just like, I want to try and help the war any way that I can. Yeah. And it's like whatever happens, happens. And then it's Sam doesn't want to take it, but he'd be qualified for it if he did. Like if you're looking at the heart, like what Erskine said in Cap 1, First Avenger, when he's like, it's about the man, it's about what's in here is what makes you. It's what amplifies those specific traits, and they talk about that later in the show as well. I think what's his name? Hoskins brings it up, but it's like. Sam doesn't want it, neither does Bucky, but Sam would be the best qualified for it. And then Steve took it just because he was like, I'm going to shot in the dark, whatever happens, happens, but there's never been anyone like him. But I'll throw it over to Mike.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm with you. I think, in regards to the serum, I think one of the things that they say is it, and this goes into what happens later in the show, I think it amplifies what the inside of a person really is. So, if they have like inner rage, it will make the inner rage even stronger. Mm-hmm. Or if they have good and pure heart, like Captain Rogers did, it amplifies that, and fearlessness and all that stuff. So, I thought, going back, I guess, to the scene where they're talking about the Flag Smashers. Again, I think it was I think Sam also too. I think he understands that the Flag Smashers, at least from what the show has shown, is that they seem to be doing everything to like try to survive. Like I don't think like Zemo's looking at them like they took the super soldier serum so they could be super soldiers and rule the world. I don't think that's it. I think they just want to make life better for everyone else, and that's where I think Zemo's getting it twisted. And that's really all I have on that.
Yeah, it's interesting on that like the Flag Smashers in general are really kind of one of those groups that you struggle with. Because if you think about the foundation of what they believe in, a big part of it is, what happened after the blip, because everybody was gone. All communities need to essentially come together. Different ethnicities, different cultures all needed to come together to be able to form some sort of union to survive. And the Flag Smashers love that, and they want that, and they liked that. And then, they reversed the blip and everybody came back and was like, well, wait a minute, this is my house. This is my area. Like, what are you doing here? You need to go back to where you're from. Right. And it's, you like, think about the heart of what that is. And like me as a human being, like I stand for that concept. Like, forget everything else that we're talking about, like in the show and all that. But if we just talk about that concept, well, yeah, okay, so all different races and ethnicities and cultures like working together to form a nice union and like society. Like, yeah, I like that. Give me that. I also sometimes understand that. This gets in the kind of, I don't know what the right way to say this is, but the more controversial parts of it, I guess. But you can't just have a nice person and get certain things. There is going to be a mean person who wants power and comes in and says, I want your stuff. So I can also kind of empathize with them wanting, even if they wanted the super soldier serum, to say, you know, we have to have this to protect ourselves, because it's like kind of like Carly said when she bombed the place. Not that I think that was okay. Just for the record, saying that right now. I'm like not pro flag smasher at this point, but I'm just saying like their ideology is strong, and she said that's the only thing they understand. And sometimes like, look, I'm all for the what do you want to call it, the like the way Sam wants to do it. It's like there's a peaceful way to do this, there's a better way. I think Sam's way is the best way, but I certainly understand kind of where she's coming from, you know what I mean? And it really is. It is so hard to sit there and go, you know what? I just, I don't like these guys. It's like, you're kind of thinking, well, they seem like they're the bad guys, but are they? So, you know, and by the way, that just reminded me of like, I wonder where Torres is right now. You know, he hasn't, I feel like he hasn't been there for a hot minute, but.
Been a second.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I know I kind of just elaborated a little bit on what you guys were saying, but before I move on to another scene, do you guys have anything to add to kind of that concept I threw out there?
No, I think I said this last week. I think the GRC somehow correlated. I don't think they're good. Like I said, that like Kumbaya commercial they did, where they're like, we're bringing everyone together and making it a unified like place with everyone back from the blip. Like, no, they're wrangling up people. Like, they don't care. So I'm with you. I don't like that they bombed it, but I think they bombed like not good people. I think they're even somehow correlated either with. Like I said, even going way back, the guy who gave Walker the Captain America shields, I think he's either controlling.
Still waiting on that, dude.
If we're a throwback, or even the power broker is like somehow correlated to them in some way. So yeah, I'm in that sense of I'm with you. I completely agree.
Yeah. Eddie, anything to add?
Yeah, no, I love the complexity of the flag smashers, because like in one sense, like I said before, you know, you appreciate what they're doing because it's out of the goodness of their heart. At the same time, the tactics are a little bit aggressive in some ways, but I mean, you get why they do it, because people only listen to destruction. Like when you make an impact, that's when they listen up. It's only when you affect them, and that's true about life in general. Like it seems like the only way to get actual change is for people to experience it personally. If you don't experience it personally, you won't actually understand it. You won't feel it because it doesn't affect you anyway. Which is, she's right. She's absolutely correct. And we see later when Sam talks to her that like they kind of get each other. Yeah, but we'll get there.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
I have one more thing to say about everything like the flag smashers are doing, which you kind of like. I saw it was a funny tweet, but someone said, like, can you imagine coming back from the blip like in your house and your like wife is like remarried or like with another man? Like, there's so many weird things that could have happened, which could have separated society. Like with all these people coming back, that. Just as much as like coming back, like you get a family member back or all this stuff. Like I think they've shown some positive things. Like in Spider-Man, it was very positive where all these kids came back and they're all friends. There's also probably some really messed up things that happened. And I think the Flag Smashers, I think they're saying is one world, one people. I used to think when they were saying that was before the blip or when everyone disappeared. I think it's when everyone came back. They want the original where everyone was together. So more or less.
I mean, even going back to WandaVision when Rambeau gets when she gets blipped back. I mean, you see the sequence in the hospital. It was chaotic. I mean, there are people like showing up in rooms that they weren't in before. People were like, "What are you doing in here?" They're running in. Like, it was crazy. And so like
she was in the bedroom of where her mom was like 5 years ago.
Yeah, dude. And like no one's in there. And you're like, "Oh, where? Did she get moved?" Oh no, she's been gone, and so have you for the last 5 years. Like, what happened? It's so. I mean, I can only imagine what it must have been like for people coming back. And like you said, you know, showing up in your house and your wife's with somebody else and you're like, yo, like, and like, I thought you died, yada yada. And it was 5 years, I was lonely, I just decided to move on. And it's like,
dude, think
there's
about
so
that,
much
psychology
emotion
from that, from both sides of people for a second too. Like the person being blipped back, like Rambeau, she didn't realize she went anywhere. She's just like,
they had no idea.
What's up? Like, what's going on? Da 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 da. And then the person, like you're saying, like, can you imagine? Like, I'm just imagining myself sitting here. I'm getting chills a little bit, where it's like, I'm just talking to you guys, and all of a sudden, some person just like magically shows up next to me, and is kind of like, "What the hell? What are you doing in my house?" And I'm like, "Dude, this dude just showed up here. I don't know what the hell is." I mean, like, I'd be freaking the f out. You know what I mean? I'm like, "What is happening right now?" And like, there would be mass chaos. People would just like, you couldn't go to work. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, yeah, dude, that would be.
And in some ways, you'd be conflicted. You're like, should I help this person? Because I'm living in where they used to live 5 years ago, but like I live here now. But I feel, do you feel? I think as a person, I think who you are, yourselves. You ask yourself, do I help this person, or do I just go, hey man, I live here now, so see ya? Like you just push them out. Like, what do you what do you do?
Yeah, dude,
it's like it reminds me of Back to the Future 2 when Marty McFly. When Biff like screws everything up and he thinks he goes back in time to his house and he wakes up and he's in a different family's house and they like freak out on him.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's like that. It's wild. You don't know what you do.
No, that's true. That's true. So all right. So next scene we got the Flag Smashers. They're just in hiding. Again, this is kind of just a development scene. The news is showing terrorism. The GRC is now pushing for borders again. So this, again, it's just showing that there's this conflict of what's going on with the Flag Smashers, that people are perceiving them as terrorists. The GRC is now this entity saying these guys are terrorists and we need to have borders again. So, I saw this as kind of I'll call it a character development, but like a group character or story arc development a little bit. I don't have much more to add to that scene. Mike, is there anything in this one in particular that you were kind of picking up on?
No, I'm with you, Thor. I think it was just like a kind of a substantive bigger thing. And also, like I kind of just said earlier, like I think that one part where the GRC like wants borders, I think that's correlating to them not being as unified and as helpful as everyone thinks. Like they're using, I feel like the GRC is using the Flag Smashers as motivation to actually like get more power around and do these things that they want for themselves. And that's really all I took from it.
Yeah, what about you, Eddie?
I mean, you see kind of a disconnect within the group. I mean, they're all watching the footage and, Carly's kind of looking at them like she feels like they're almost dismissing her in some ways. There's a bit of a divide maybe as to like, are their tactics too not what they were going for? Because again, we'll touch on this later, but it's always like, are their tactics too much for what they're trying to get across? But that's what I got from the scene. That's really all I saw. So
I got you guys. All right, so the next scene, we got Falcon and Winter Soldier again with Zemo, the kids, the Turkish delights. Okay, so
it's not creepy at all.
Yeah, so they walk into the courtyard. Zemo's just chilling downstairs.
You can't give a kid candy.
Can't give a kid candy, bro. And then the way he did it, like,
what, he sang a song.
Put it out on the table like it was. Put it out on the table like it was like poker chips, and he was like, "Here, take it."
And he was singing. Was it? And what was the song? Was it "Baba Black Sheep"? Was that what he was singing?
Yeah, honestly, all he needed was a creepy van, and he would have taken that kid away.
Sold.
You guys going there? All right. See where. Okay. So, anyway, while he's being a creep fest there, Sam walks around the place. He thinks he's trying to find some intel. Everybody avoids him as he's walking around. No one even wants to talk. They're walking to doors, they're closing doors, they're walking out of rooms. And like we said, Zemo's doing his thing. One guy actually tells Sam like that Sam can't be trusted. So and he leaves. It was an interesting scene. And the Zemo thing. I found interesting with him is the fact that, maybe not interesting, it's not even really surprising, but just the fact that he said that Sam and Bucky are bad and they can't be trusted. Right. So it's clearly laying more framework that, Zemo at some point, which we see soon, is going to do his own thing. I didn't have much in this scene other than Zemo's about to break away. He can be a creep, but he also knows how to manipulate basically anybody. And there's other people saying that they can't trust Sam, so he's obviously going to have some conflicts with that. But Eddie, is there anything in this scene that I'm missing that you saw?
I think the one thing we saw is that, like, I think with Bucky and Sam's relation to John Walker is that's probably why they felt they can't trust them, because they're associated with John with Walker and Hoskins, and I get that. I mean, perception is but what's the quote? People will believe nothing beyond what they see with their own two eyes. And so if you see them together, you're naturally going to assume that they're partners with Walker and Hoskins, but they're not. And the only way to prove that is to actually show
perception is reality.
Yep.
Boom. And so showing that was just a way to kind of again push the story forward and maybe hopefully change their minds. And then with Zemo, the dude's a manipulator. He does it across the board with everybody.
Yeah.
And so watching the sequence with the kids, while it was also like interesting, I get why he did it. But it worked out later for the kid. So
yeah, there you go. What about you, Mike? What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like you knew that Zemo was going to get answers, and like Eddie said, I think it was a situation where I think the Flag Smashers perceive Walker and Sam and Bucky to be together because I think of that fight they had on the truck, when that's not necessarily the case.
Wasn't the case.
So I think you get that. So I mean, and from what we've seen, all these people, wherever the Flag Smashers go, especially this seems to be like their home area, like they're going to get protected by the people around them. It's kind of like no one's gonna rat. And Zemo used a kid who apparently loves Turkish delights to just literally just rat them out.
They're irresistible, Mike.
The funeral's that way. 2 p.m.
Yeah, man. That's hilarious. So, the next scene after this is basically Zemo and the Sam and Bucky back at the hotel. Sam continues to sympathize with Carly, just saying that, how all people can be one and that's not a bad ideology. Zemo does share that he did get some information, that there was a funeral, but he wouldn't share all of it because he says that he needs to keep his leverage, which Bucky gets upset about, obviously. And I did really enjoy my favorite part of this whole scene, honestly, was Sam going. So he said something to Bucky about don't let him get to you because he'll just keep doing that head tilt thing. Yeah, and it was just like. It was just hilarious because
he does it, brings his head back up.
Yeah, and I've never even noticed it before, but he does. And the acting from I forget the Zemo's actor's name, but
Daniel Bruhl.
There you go. I mean, it really was like. Just like the comedic timing of it was, he just timed it perfectly, and the way his eyes moved and everything, it was solid. So
it's like, how does he know that? Okay.
yeah. I mean, there wasn't much into that scene, but did you guys pick up in any of the dialogue, where they were talking about Carly? And I know it's a theme we've kind of been discussing, but Mike, is there anything further in that scene that you saw?
No, I mean, I think we said it before. I think kind of the scene that part that you like. I think that all three of them have that good, like, even dry, I'm going to call it dry, witty banter, or like little like nods that are very comedic. It was just, it was funny and good, but it's good just back and forth between all of them, even if it's a tidbit.
Yeah, I got you. What about you, Eddie?
Same. I mean, you're kind of seeing their banter together and just everything in between, and it kind of pushes to the next portion of the story, which is so interesting to me.
Yeah. So the next scene is let's see, Sharon's talking to Sam, and she's walking into like some seriously secure compound or something. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but she was walking through a very tight, narrow space, very bottlenecked. They had barriers where you couldn't drive through there, and a ton of armed guards. So she's clearly associated, or she's either built up her network or whatever, but she's got some pull or something's going on with her for sure. I mean, I think we talked about it once before when Power Broker was around, like the chance she could be the Power Broker.
Right.
I don't know. She's something. I know that because, she's checked satellites and all kinds of crazy crap.
Right.
And then she just says but she does say that Madripoor is about to get nasty because, the Power Broker's angry over Nagel's death. So it was just there's a lot in that little scene, but those were some of the things I picked up on. Again, it was real short, but I wanted to bring it up. Is there anything either of you guys kind of want to add to that portion?
Mike, you want to
go? No, like you said, I think we mentioned it last week where I think Sharon is either like deep undercover, either working for Power Broker. I don't think she is Power Broker. I think that would be too easy. I know that sounds weird.
Yeah.
I think a Power Broker is going to be someone bigger in this universe, or should be. It might be Mephisto. Who knows?
I had to go there.
Never gets old.
But but she's definitely connected because she's not just dealing art in the background. She's either working with people. Like I said, I think she even may still be like she's not excommunicated from the U.S. I think she's like deep undercover or something. Yeah. But who knows? But she's still helping Sam and Bucky, which is cool. So I think she's going to be an ally for the last 2 episodes.
Okay, before you chime in here, just one thing I want to throw since Mike brought up the Mephisto thing. Have you guys actually heard that there's supposed to be a cameo in it might be the next episode? Have you guys heard about this?
No.
Yeah, I
didn't ever know about this.
Mike, have you heard?
I have heard of a cameo. But I can't trust anything anymore.
I know.
Why? What's the point?
So, I mean, allegedly, the cameo is going to be some sort of Marvel character that I think the line that I heard, someone said you'd cry if you saw, but it's not been anybody who's been in the MCU. And I'm like,
what?
It makes zero sense
vague.
to me. And I was like, none of that makes any sense to me. I was like, so look, I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there because Mike brought up Mephisto. I don't even know how it would tie into the story, frankly.
No.
But anyway, so I'm sorry to derail that there, but
no, good.
Eddie, back to Sharon and everything that she's got going on there.
Okay.
Did you have anything to add on anything that was just said in the last couple minutes?
I do want to add something. Mike, did you want to say something? Were you gonna?
No, you're good. Go.
All right. So I was talking to you guys earlier. Well, first of all, the scene where she's walking through, obviously she's very well connected. She's walking by non-guards with big guns and there's barriers up. She's connected. Before we got in here, I mentioned to you guys that I read and I saw a couple of videos that the storyline in this show, there was supposed to be another one that was in this series that got aggressively cut because of the coronavirus. They went back and reworked a lot of the show, or a lot of the series, excuse me. And so originally, remember when they get onto that truck and Bucky's like, when we first meet Carly, he's like, they have medicines, there's vaccines and all that jazz. It's like, oh, why would they have vaccines? Is there like some kind of virus? What about that? Originally, Madripoor was supposed to have some like virus outbreak, and that was what the vaccines were for, and it was supposed to like spread across the country and all that stuff, which was then reworked because of the coronavirus. And because Madripoor is a majority Asian populated city, or it's based in the area of Asia, they were like it would be insensitive to keep the storyline, so they cut it and reworked a lot of stuff. Which is why, I don't know if you noticed this or not, there's a lot of ADR, which is additional dialogue recording. It's something that they do in film and television, where like if a character says a line off screen, you can hear it, but it wasn't said on set. So like if I'm over here and I go, oh yeah, we should get fries, like I'll add that in later to the shot, clearer than that, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of.
And they feel like the back of their head.
Exactly, to avoid even like seeing the lips. And so if you notice when Sharon's talking, there's a moment she says a line and her lips don't even match what she says, but it's so dark that you can't even tell. Like you just totally miss it. And that's another reason why Donya Madani, who was the woman that Carly was crying over in the room where there's like a bunch of sick people. She is like a big profile actress, and she's been in a bunch of stuff, and they got her in this series. But because that storyline got cut from the series, her role got substantially reduced. Like, I mean, just like she was a blip, if anything else. No pun intended. But like, so like, what we're seeing is kind of like a lot of like puzzle piecing throughout the story, because they had to take out one storyline and put in a different one and kind of rework the whole series. When I found that out, I was like, dude, because it sucks for 2 reasons. One, we're probably never going to know what the actual series was about. Yeah. And 2, it just sucks because you're like, we could just do it because it's the story, but you're also like, I don't want to be insensitive. Like, there's it's such a fine line, and it would ruin half your market. It would be terrible. So I get why they didn't do it, but I would love to see the story in its entirety as it was meant to be, as it was meant to be seen. I do want to revisit the moment with Sharon Carter towards the end. Right? I do want to revisit this moment though later on in the discussion. Yeah.
I got you, Mike. Anything to add?
No,
Okay.
no. I think we hit it.
Okay.
I was stunned by that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It is kind of cool. When you brought that up earlier, I was like, oh man, you know what, that makes sense, because I mentioned to you off camera or whatever that that there was some LLCs associated with it, had similar names like Pandemic or something along those lines, and they did have to do stuff, but I didn't know all of that when you showed that. I was like, oh man, that is kind of nuts. So
Yeah, wild.
the next scene we had more Flag Smasher, kind of just really yanking at the empathy chain, whatever you want to call it, where they're at the grave with the serum. You get the character. I don't even know his name, but he's a Captain America fanboy, believe it or not. That'll come back to play in a little bit at the end of the episode. Poor soul. And one of the things that she questions if she's making a mistake, making more supers, so you can see she's conflicted again. He says how today's heroes can't keep their hands clean. Found that very interesting. And I think didn't he even say that somehow he saw her as a potential Captain America, or like her traits? Did I make that up?
Maybe.
I couldn't remember it, and I thought I heard that, but then when I watched it and was taking notes, I didn't write it down. I'm like, I don't know.
I don't remember exactly the line she said, but I mean, he was trying to kind of talk her up during that moment where he was like, you can do something for good. Like, I think he sees her as a good person, and again, the thing she did with like the bombing and stuff, I think surprised him. Yeah. So I think he was saying like you could be like a good thing for the world, not a negative thing.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, did you guys see anything else in general in that scene, or more just kind of the general character development with the Flag Smashers and her?
When they got there, it was. So I think the character's name is Nico, if I'm correct. Yeah, kid, fan of the Captain America growing up, the OG Captain America, and oh man, that really rough scene. But I mean, you get a
good foreshadowing.
Yeah, lovely foreshadowing. And so, I mean, you get a sense of like what they're trying to do, and like I think she says that shield represents a bygone era, which I totally understand. Yeah. It was made at a time when they needed something to inspire to, but nowadays you don't really need anything to inspire to. Like, you don't need that. Like, I think that's kind of where her mind is. You just need people, community, like everybody around you to inspire you to be someone else, not just a symbol that represents America or whatever. But yeah, I think that's kind of what they were trying to get across to the audience.
I got you. Anything else?
The only other thing I'll take from
the
only other thing I'll take from that, as soon as I saw her put that serum in a fanny pack, I was like, that's not a safe place. I was like, you had that hidden in a grave, and then you just put it in a leather fanny pack, and then that's it? That's safe? That thing, I was like, as soon as that happened, I was like, that's gonna be like ripped off her, or like I was like, this is bad security. That was bad security. I'll find a loophole in every little thing, even though it's supposed to be a show where that happens. But as soon as she put that in her leather bag around her waist, I was like, oh, that thing is like that's. Oh, sorry. I didn't.
Throw a good mic.
That's it. My bad.
You're fine, buddy. You're fine. So, anything else in that scene before we jump to the next one? We finally John Walker and Battlestar show up. So, and like they're yelling at Falcon and Winter Soldier and Zemo. Walker, he just sucks more and more. That just comes to fruition. We already know that. Those two want to go to the funeral. But Sam wants to take it slow. Walker wants to go in hot. So they're all there at this place. Sam refers back to the PTSD counseling, which I thought was a really good idea, really smart play on him. And it comes into play with this conversation with Carly, and I found it interesting that Battlestar actually convinced Walker to say, go along with Sam's plan and saying, let's just step back a second here and see what these guys can do. I liked that. I thought that was cool, and as they go up, actually, before we go into the next scene, what was you guys' takeaway? I mean, again, we know Walker sucks. I like the Battlestar thing. Granted, that doesn't play out very long. Again, we'll know that in a second here, but Mike, what did anything in this initial interaction between the group again that you were kind of picked up on?
Yeah, the one thing again I'll start with is like nitpicky. it seems like Walker and Battlestar just walk up on them like randomly. So like I feel like everyone just shows up.
I love that so much.
Those things where like they're walking down the street and they just, hey guys, we're like at the same intersection, like
weird.
But I think from what you're referring to, the PTSD thing, I think it was a good thing because I think it definitely correlates to Walker.
Mm-hmm.
And I do find it interesting that Battlestar, it seemed like the first time I think he realized in that moment that probably Sam and Bucky know what they're doing more than probably Walker does. So it was like a very interesting moment where he not like flipped on him, but he was kind of like, let's trust these guys. They seem to be getting farther than we are.
Mm-hmm. Which he's mentioned twice during their excursions or their raids, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I would say that's really kind of the only thing I took from that one part, where Walker just is still a dick.
Right.
He's still trying to match up to two people that he can't match up with, and it just comes off terribly.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you, Eddie?
So the episode is called "The Whole World Is Watching," right?
Mm-hmm.
If you watch the moments when like Walker's walking around town, somebody has like a cell phone out. They all know who he is. I mean, there's a point at one point where Carol comes up and goes ask for his autograph, and so you see that like you're not gonna get missed, but like everybody knows who you are, man. And you can, if you watch Walker in that sequence, you can see him kind of be like almost like roided out. It seems like he's like twitching a little bit, his head's moving a lot.
He was super twitchy.
Yeah, dude, it was wild. I was like, he's losing it, like he's going somewhere. And so you see pieces of that, and he's very aggressive off the from the jump of like trying to get Carly and just beat her to death essentially. And so like, but they Zemo convinces him otherwise, and he escorts him to the his inside man, so to speak, and then they get into the funeral, which this part here gets me.
I feel you. Yeah, so that's the next. Zemo pays the kid to go into the funeral. And we have that scene, and Carly continues to talk about one world, one people. Just that. I think her whole kind of eulogy is really that's what it's about. Walker again, just he's in the waiting area or whatever where they handcuff Zemo and just chilling in the background, just getting more and more agitated. She sees Sam up on the balcony. Everybody leaves except for Carly. Obviously, they start talking. And Sam's doing a pretty good job talking to her. It seems like he's, in my mind, the note I put here was that he's becoming more and more like Steve and a good heir to hold that shield. Yes. Just some of those quotes, and that's Eddie. I'll throw it to you at that point because that's what I'm seeing in this scene.
Right.
And you obviously agree with that.
I agree 100%. I mean, like everything you see Sam do, like I said before, if anybody's getting a serum and is worthy of it, it'd definitely be Sam because he has all the traits from Steve. And if you again, I watched Winter Soldier last night, and you can see it. Like they were the same person, just a different race entirely. And that's the only difference that's kind of like holding Sam back from actually taking the shield and being Captain America. But when he's talking to Carly, he's really doing what Steve would have done back in the day, just trying to bring bring everything down to ground level to talk about it, have a discussion, and not go in there guns blazing. I mean, he did the same thing with Tony before he saw the video, and then Tony freaked out. He was trying to pocket the whole situation in Civil War, but it just did not work out that way. Yeah. But I feel like Sam and Carly share similar beliefs about the shield and what it represents. Part of me feels like they might team up. Just saying, it might happen, just because of their beliefs are kind of similar.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I got from the scene mostly. And I think she had said one thing that she was like, "You made me say that." No, you take it out of context. I believe you, wasn't out of context on stuff, but they connected in a way that I didn't expect. So that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Mike.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought I agree with you. Sam, I think, is the perfect correlation where, and you see it with Walker. Walker wants to go in there and fight right away when they're at a funeral. Sam is like, they're at a vulnerable state where they may not want to fight. This is the best time to talk to someone.
Right.
And they have a good back and forth.
Yep.
And I agree with you, Eddie. I think there is going to be a time where, at the end of the day, maybe in these next 2 episodes, it's going to be Carly, Sam, and Bucky against Walker and the GRC or Power Broker. Like, it's going to be like, that is the good side. Now, that being said, I think Carly is going to probably end up having to pay for the mistakes she made and all the things. But I do agree that there might be a side flip that goes into it.
Right.
And then really Thor goes into just Walker ruin everything again.
Yeah. No, that's very true. Very, very true.
Real quick before we go into that, like when they're in like, I guess you could say, it was the boiler room, I guess, and they're waiting for, they're waiting to go in there. You can see Walker again, like slowly breaking down. He's having like the migraines, and he's pacing. He's just so impatient. And you see him kind of like go to Bucky, and Bucky stops him. Are we getting to this part yet, or can I just dive into this right now?
You hit it.
Okay.
You hit it.
So Bucky stops him before he goes in. He's like, let Sam work its head. It hasn't even been 10 minutes yet. Let him just keep going. And he wants to force it. And then he asks him, he was like,
this must
do
be
you not
so
care
easy
about
for you.
Yeah,
Well,
it's supposed to be so easy for you. And like, you're not worried about his safety and yada, yada, yada. And I think that to some degree, and even earlier, I think Bucky was like saying he's not my partner. He said that. It's like, but I still think that he cares about his well-being at the end of the day. He doesn't want the guy to die.
Yeah.
And so, with Walker just kind of like being the instigator of the whole idea, just trying to like, let's just get in there and just press the issue. And then he gets in there and ruins the whole thing. And Carly thinks it's a setup, but it's not. And you're like, oh my God, this guy's just jacking up the whole situation. It's terrible. I
got a question for you guys on that one part. The part that I was a little, do you think that, I was surprised Bucky let him go in, honestly.
I agree.
Okay, go.
I was going to say after Eddie, the fact that Bucky just let him walk right by him, it's like, dude, you're a super soldier. Just put him up against the wall and be like, stay.
And you got the arm.
Yeah.
And you have that crazy vibranium arm.
The arm. He just has super serum. He doesn't have to try to hold him back. He can just hold him back. And I think the other thing, I think we talked about this. I really do think that Bucky let Sam go talk to Carly on his own, because I think, to go what you were saying, I think he trusts Sam so much that he knows he doesn't have to protect him.
Right.
I think that's also the same like he had with Steve. Like, he knows Steve can handle himself in any situation where he doesn't have to be his bodyguard. Like, and I think that's the way Bucky treats Sam, not as like he's his bodyguard because he's technically more powerful than him. And I think he's like they're equals in a way, or he sees him as an equal where he can handle himself for the most part, other than having super serum.
Yeah.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah, so the one thing about, the thing where she kind of flipped, I think, was when he was talking about supremacists, and, she was talking about it being ridiculous and all this different stuff. You kind of hit that. She made a pitch to Sam saying he should be trying to do something similar to her, which I found interesting. He agrees, but this is the part where it was really the Cap thing. He agrees with her fight, but he can't agree to the way she fights it. That line that he said, again, that was like very like Steve-esque. You know what I mean? Where he's like, that'd be something he said. And then, like you guys said, Walker busts in, screws everything up. Chase scene. Zemo's clearly loose. He finds her, shoots at her, starts breaking the serum, and then gets knocked out by Walker.
Like Mike said, the pouch, she falls over the table, the thing comes undone and just spills everywhere.
If you had a locked suitcase with like handcuffs to your hand, that would have never happened.
So, Mike, when this scene was happening, were you just feeling vindicated in your thought? Like, what were you doing?
It's one of those things when the serum fell to the ground. Again, it goes back to like almost every cheesy movie where like something falls to the ground that's very delicate, and you're like, that's gonna break. And that's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I will say too, and all these things happen so quickly, for them to think that Zemo can just be handcuffed and like that's gonna hold him, like,
come on, bud.
Like, you can't leave. Like, I think they said it either last episode maybe, like, you can't leave him out of your sight because it's just too tricky. So as soon as they like left, it's like, oh, Zemo's like, I'm out of here, see you later. But yeah, as soon as the serum fell to the ground with that dumb fanny pack that she should have never had it on, and Zemo destroys all the serum so we think. And Walker knocks her out. It was just an unexpected situation, is what I have to call it.
Yeah, what about you, Ed?
Yeah, when she ran through and then he shot her, you're like, oh, like okay, he got free. I thought he would have bounced, but he shot her, and then she rolls over the table, loses the serum, and you're like, oh, here we go. And then he sees it, and one by one, stepping on. I love the shot through the glass. That was pretty dope. How they made that work with the steps. That was really cool. Yeah. And then, as he's distracted doing that, she escapes with Nico, and then not Cap. I hate calling him Cap. John Walker throws a shield at Zemo's head, just knocks him the hell out, and then he finds the serum. And it's like, you would think he was a crack addict. He was like he was like twitching his head nod. He grabbed it and put it in his pocket. And you're like, this dude's about to crack. Like, there's no way he's not going to use that. Yeah. There's no way. And then we see later that he does.
He's ready to be juiced up.
I will say on that one scene though with Zemo, there was a split second where I thought he was going to like take the serum for himself, but he really is so pure in his mindset that no one should have it. He started crushing him. But for 1 second, I was like, he's going to inject himself and be like Zemo superhuman dude.
Yeah.
But no, he's like very idealistic in his ways.
He's adamant about this theory.
I had the same thought, honestly.
But yeah, Walker, like you said, he looked like a crack addict. He's like Chappelle itching. Like, right. It also makes me like wonder, like it's wild. But yeah, so we'll see what he does with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was definitely an interesting scene. You saw that coming from a mile away, pretty much. And obviously Walker at some point was definitely gonna get that serum, more than likely. Let's see. So the next thing we got is the Flag Smashers are regrouping. I think it's on that balcony. Carly just thought they were all shows and how they came together. So again, there was some of that kind of just one world, one people concept. The Power Broker has their little, I'll call it a cameo, but they get a text or some sort where it basically says that he's coming to end Carly. So, but they can't fight the battle on multiple fronts. So they make a plan to basically kill Captain America is what they say. And they just want to split up Falcon and Winter Soldier and Walker. So yeah, and so we're gonna find out real quickly what's happening there. I didn't see much more, in this scene other than they're gonna try to kill him and split him up. What about you guys? Eddie, you see anything else in that one? Or?
This scene is heavily with the ADR, like I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moments that were said that were like off camera, and then just it was more like people talking, and then just reactions of what was said post, in post production. So I feel like again this was altered from the previous track of the series. I want to know who this dude is, the Power Broker, or woman. I have no idea who it is, but dude, 2 episodes left to find out who this person is. I'm hoping that's the reveal, which would be tits, but we'll see. So waiting to see that. But yeah, I mean, it was just a good like bridge sequence to the next part of the show.
What about you, Greg? Same thing?
No, I'm with Eddie. I think it was just a little bridge setup. I think it also set up more. As soon as the text from the Power Broker came, like in my mind, I was like, next episode is Power Broker's like gun should be full force in it, because I think he was kind of like a ghost mentioned in the background. Like she got one random text, I think 2 episodes ago or something like that, when she was being chased. But I think this one was like, hey, I think he's going to be the main part of it. Maybe this next episode. Who knows how they do it? But just a bridge to the scene and possibly next episode.
Yep, I got you guys. So the next scene that we get after that is they're back in the hotel again. Falcon, Winter Soldier, Zemo, Sam. Zemo actually straight up asks Sam, "Well, would you take the serum?" And Sam says he wouldn't, which I found very interesting. I was kind of like, all right, we're talking about how we think he's the most similar to Steve, yet, he also doesn't want the serum. So I was like, all right. So I kind of admired that a little bit. And Zemo continues to, just kind of preach, look, you can't hold out hope for Carly. It's just not going to work. And Bucky starts criticizing Sam for giving Walker the shield. Walker busts in's looking for a fight, which is pretty interesting. What comes up before we get to the next scene, complete next scene, the dope part of the next scene. Is there any part of that dialogue that you guys kind of picked up on that I didn't mention?
You got it, Mike.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say when Zemo was asking Sam whether he'd take the serum, Sam said no, and Zemo had said one thing where he goes, no hesitation. Like Zemo found it very, like, if you would say, I would say, if you would put anyone who, you know, whether they're a hero or not, being like, do you want the ability to be kind of more powerful, stronger, faster, better,
Live longer,
right? Damn near immortal.
Longer, like more or less be immortal. Most people would say yes.
Yeah.
There's very few people that, you know, I think Sam is in the sense of like, I want to do good the way I do, like the best I can.
Yeah.
The best I can is the best I will ever do. Something helping me, I don't think will make me a better soldier, person, human, whatever. I think that was interesting. And Zemo, like, he made a face like interesting, like not hesitation. Like usually people would have to be like, maybe.
Yeah.
But
Wait, pros and cons.
Yeah.
But I think in that moment, Zemo kind of was a little bit surprised because I think, like I said, if you put anyone give that question, they'll be like, yeah, I want to be stronger. Like, I'd take the serum. Screw it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
No, I tend to agree. Yeah, Eddie, same page. Sounds like.
Yeah, 100%. He does. Zemo mentions a line about about not being more than one god or something like that, and you know, Sam's response is, you know, so that's not something a god would say, you know, and it kind of points back to Zemo's personality, about how he's trying to get rid of the super soldier serum, and he doesn't want anything left. Again, he wants to stand over everybody else, which is interesting.
Yeah.
When Walker walks into the scene and he wants them to hand over Zemo. I think that's what it was. Was that what it was? Or find Carly or something like that. He picks a fight with Sam, and then what he says like really kind of like got me over. He said, "Should I put the shield down and make it even?" And I was like, "Bro," I was like, "What?" Like, yo, man,
That was so weird to me.
I was like, "You were standing tall, and you really shouldn't." But and then it comes back full circle. I'll let you lead that in, Thor.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, I mean, I totally agree with that part where it's just kind of, all right, like, if that really what, okay. But yeah, so the next scene, like, and the Dora Milaje show up, and they're just like, time's up. And it was hilarious because Walker was just like, the Dora Milaje doesn't have jurisdiction here. And they were like, I forget the Dora Milaje has jurisdiction wherever the Dora Milaje says it out. So I'm just like, get the
So good,
out of my
yeah.
face.
Basically, we do what we want.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, right. We don't have a jurisdiction, but
yeah, it's like, who do you think you are? Like, get out of
my
here,
God.
man. So like, I love that. You know, and then the fight scene starts. Walker is just like, I mean, well, the fight scene itself is dope. Like, a couple highlights, obviously, the arm coming out, the pinch point, just the fighting.
oh, that was so cold.
Oh my God. Like,
Oh my
we'll
God.
get to what Walker says at the end, but like, I straight up loved that fight scene. So Mike, you're nodding your head. What'd you think?
Go.
Real quick, going back to the part where Walker does come in and talking to Sam, he's like, should I put the shield down to make it even? Like, I don't think, like, Walker has this weird mindset that the shield gives him like power over anyone or like makes him unstoppable.
Right.
Not the case.
No.
Yeah.
But the Dora Milaje fight in general, as soon as they come in and everyone starts fighting, awesome scene. The one thing I actually find very interesting with the arm part, like, they made like a
failsafe.
A failsafe.
Yeah,
for the
dude.
arm, just in
That was
case
wild.
Winter Soldier like went crazy again and be like, oh, we know how to take off your arm. Like, you are.
Yeah.
It was just, it was one of those things. And even like the face Bucky makes when it happens, he was like, I didn't know you could do that.
He said, "What?"
But yeah, all around the fight scene was super awesome. The Dora Milaje are badasses.
So good.
And you know, they beat the crap out of Walker and pretty much everyone else. Yeah, Thor, what you got?
Well, you know, one of the things that I just was super impressed with just their way of fighting, you know, and like the way they threw the spears, and it was just kind of like, you know,
So good.
yeah, I mean, it pins the shield down. I'm sitting here going, all right, like, wow, like, all right. And there's one part I want to bring up, but I want to see if Eddie's got any other comments before I get there.
When he puts the shield down to kind of provoke Sam, and then the spear comes through and hits the wall, I was like, oh snap. And then like she's like, time's up, it's about to go down. And then like when he puts his hand on her, I was like, mistake number one. And then she whoops his ass. I was like, go to town on my guy, because he is out of his league right now. Yeah. And so she, like, it was cool watching them work as a team together. Work with the spears thrown around. Like they were using it in such a tight space too, and they were making it look effortless. And like I love when she kicks him into like the spear that's in the wall, so that's come back around. Yeah. And then the pinpoint accuracy to throw the spear through the shield, like through the gauntlet, was amazing to me. I was like, wow, dude, that was wild, dude. And it pins it to the table. He's locked in, just getting whooped. And I love Sam and Bucky's reaction. They're just like, "You're doing great, John." Like just sitting in the back, like just watching the whole thing. It was just like there were three different things going. John's getting whooped, Hoskins is getting whooped, and Sam and Bucky are just like, "Wow." And Zima was just taking a drink. Like it was the funniest thing ever. Yeah. And then when she pinpoints his arm and knocks it out, she says what it translates to is "Bast, damn you, James," which is remember in the opening of Black Panther, the giant tiger or the giant panther, in that story sequence, that's what Bast is. So it was almost like their god, sort of. That was what she said, which I thought was kind of dope. But yeah, when and then he resets it similar to the way that he did in Winter Soldier, when he kind of like brings it in and like locks it in again. I thought it was really cool. But yeah, that sequence was amazing. I was like, this is great. This is great action. This is awesome. Yeah. And then also I love when when the shield gets knocked down and she kicks it back up again, like the same way that Cap did it in Winter Soldier. There was so many little callbacks. Yeah. And I love the fan service. It's so good, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Mike?
I will say too, in terms of the fight scenes that they've had in this show so far, like Bucky and Matador, like the close combat, like, because a lot of the time when you see all these action fight scenes, there's a lot of like just fast motion camera where you don't really see what's going on. This is like very good choreographed fighting that just makes it look so cool. And like you said, it's in a tight confinement. Like they're in like an apartment.
Yeah, dude. Like, super small.
Badass stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Oh, man. I agree. One of the things that I picked up too that I somewhat enjoyed was Walker's dejected face after getting his butt kicked and going, they weren't even super soldiers.
That
was like, oh my, like, it's like, yeah, you ain't all that, brother. Like, no, like, you knew at that point, like, oh yeah, this dude's taking the serum. Like he's, if there was any ounce, it's kind of like, all right, that's over. So
he's correct.
Obviously during the scene, Zemo sneaks out. No surprise there. I did like how he slowly backed away, as they kept fighting. That was pretty funny. They, for whatever reason, they did have one more scene with Lamar and Walker. Maybe it was to show their bond, given what happens in the next scene.
I want to talk about it though.
Yeah, go ahead, hit it. I
want to talk about it. No, go ahead and finish. I'll chime in.
Basically, it was just interesting that they were there, and Walker asks Lamar, like, would you take the serum if you could? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Like all the good we could do, all these lives we could save, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm surprised this dude's even questioning Walker's questioning the point. He's such a psychopath. He's gonna take it regardless. But there was that 1 second where I was like, man, maybe Walker's not so bad. And the girl comes up and he's like, how this is gonna get old and all that. And I'm like, I don't know. It didn't. It made me feel a little bit for Lamar in the scene a little bit. So anyway, Eddie, what were you gonna say?
I love the scene because what we talked about earlier about how I think Hoskins' line was like, the serum just makes the person more themselves is what it does. And that's what Erskine mentioned to Cap in the first Avenger, is that it's all about it. Who you are inside is more amplified, and you just get the powers as like a bonus essentially. And again, like I said, to the title of the episode, the whole world is watching. Someone comes up, gets gets John to sign a piece of paper, and he has to turn it on. Like he's sitting there like dejected, and he's like, oh hey, hey, yeah, sure, of course, have a good day. And he's like, oh my god, he just back to it, that's an actor. If anything else. And so Hoskins just talking about that kind of shows who he is as a person. And then they talk about like what they could have done when they were overseas, when they were serving, how if they had the serum, they could have done missions differently. They could have saved more people instead of sacrificing lives to get the job done. And I think you see the difference in both of them right there. Like Hoskins is more along the lines of like Sam and Bucky, whereas Walker is like, I just want to get the mission done. I don't care who dies, who I kill. I just want to get the job done. So I like that scene because I mean, like the task of picking him to be Captain America, like you vet somebody, right? And anybody can lie to you on the outside. You can look at him and go, "Oh yeah, he's great," and we don't know his inner demons, and that's the whole thing. That's why they test it to see what happens. So with him, it was like you picked the wrong dude. Like you picked the wrong. Like you didn't vet him enough. Yeah. But Mike, I think you.
Yeah, the one thing I'll actually say, taking to what you said, where I know the episode was called "The Whole World Is Watching," and it seems like everywhere Walker has gone, people have come up to him. I think there's one correlation that they've done pretty well, and it might be minor that I've noticed, is that everywhere Walker goes, everyone knows who he is. But there's been times where Sam has been walking around and someone has to go, "Do you know who he is?"
Right.
And Sam is just as much of a hero, if not a bigger hero, in the world, in like the process of this universe. Yeah. So I think there's a very interesting correlation where Sam doesn't want the shield or want to become Captain America, and this guy has all the attention. So it's a weird dynamic. I think maybe I could be overthinking it or overlooking it.
I don't think you are at all.
As soon as that mall scene happened, I was like, why? Like I just like thought back to like, why does people always have to be like, do you know who this is? This is like, even the bank scene in the first episode, like, do you remember who I am? Like doing this, it's like, you should know who he is. And I think that's what I think what they're trying to do is like, I think Sam's trying to become like, he knows he can become that person where everyone can know who he is and he can be that hero that everyone, come up to or anything like that.
Without the shield.
Without the shield.
Right.
Without the shield. And yeah, I thought it was a very good scene where, the one thing I'll also have to say just quickly is I think Walker said he talking about how he could have done battles differently. It made it seem like, again, with the twitchy crackhead PTSD stuff, like he must have done some messed up things in those wars to get those
medals of honor.
Medal of honors, because he even talked about the Medal of Honors, like the things I did to do them aren't that great. So I think he, like you said, he'll do anything to win a war bad, which doesn't make a good soldier or good, Captain America, like Steve Rogers in the very beginning, he fought like. In the very first one, he fought the war the way he wanted to fight it, like the right way he thought it would be, not how the army wanted to do it. So I found that very interesting, but I liked the scene.
He also even mentions real quick. Oh, sorry. He also mentions even in Winter Soldier when he's talking to Nick Fury about the helicarriers, he was like, we did things in the war that we didn't sleep at night because of it, but we did it because so people could be free. This isn't freedom, this is fear. When you talk about the helicarriers, and that makes sense too. Like. Walker would do it and not have any kind of heart about it. He would just be like heartless, just killing everybody, done. But Steve would do it and like he wouldn't be able to sleep. Like it would bother him. Like I don't know why I did. Like we had to. It was part of the thing, but like they didn't want to do it. So there's a clear difference between the two. But yeah, just to expound on that.
I got you. So the next scene,
I think the scene.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say I think the scene set up literally. If you questioned whether Walker was going to take the serum, he's taking it.
For sure.
He's 100.
It's a decision made. Next scene we got was just I think it was just a real quick setup. Basically, Sarah, Sam's sister, gets the call from Carly. She threatens her, so that she can basically get in touch with Sam. It shows that Carly clearly has some deep connections to figure out who people are. She mentions the kids, mentions the doc, all these things. I'm like,
you're like, yo.
All right, then. And, clearly Sam's gonna go meet her. I didn't see anything from this scene other than a setup. Is there anything else? You guys saw the same thing? Yeah, I see both nodding your head.
Yeah.
So Sam's pissed, and he, when he goes to meet Carly, and Carly says she wouldn't hurt Sam, and he's a tool being used by a regime. Pointless to kill him because he isn't hiding behind a shield. Again, there's so much symbolism kind of happening here. You even see at one point where Sam kind of like looks back at Bucky when she says that, and it's just like, this dude was right. Like this, why? What did I do giving up the shield? This isn't just some, So I think that's what's happening there. But Eddie, give me some thoughts.
Yeah, okay, so they show up, they're suited up, they're ready to go. Carly was just talking about how, they're trying to be on the same side. She has no intention of killing him or his sister and his family and all that stuff. But the one thing I want to touch on was when Sharon is in his ear and she's talking about where Walker is in the scene. If you notice, she's bleeding from the left side of her lip, right? And also her knuckles are super messed up when she's going through the pad, going through where Walker is. Huh. And I was like, okay, that's interesting because what happened between her being in Madripoor there? She was saying that things were going to get crazy in Madripoor, and then she shows up with a messed up lip and a busted knuckle, which could have come from the fight in the during the crate scene. Yeah. But also, her lip wasn't bloody when she was walking through the barricades with those people. It was only bloody after the fact. So something must have happened in those moments. I would love to know what that was.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't catch that. Good find.
I would love to know what that was, but thank you. And then yeah, and then they take off, and then it gets crazy. But that scene, I think, there's something about I feel like they're gonna be part. I feel like they're gonna partner with her. I just feel like they know what she's going for, and they're just gonna change her approach. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong, but Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I think everything that's come about all of this, Sam is going into dealing with, even after Carly threatens his family, very level-headed, you just get each other. It's a very interesting thing where I think it is a team setup. And also the fact that you were talking about Sharon that's a good call, by the way. I didn't realize the bloody knuckle and fight, so that's an interesting catch. They must have told Sharon to keep an eye on Walker. That's the only thing, to be like, hey, let us know if Walker's around, because would think there would be because they just had the fight, you would think that there would be more communication between the two of them, but they clearly were trying to do this away from them from the get. So I'm with you. I think they're going to be at some point fighting with the Flag Smashers again. Whether the Flag Smashers ends up being good all the way through, who knows? But I think they're going to be good guys compared to who the bad guys are at the end of this.
Yeah. No, I'm with you guys. I actually just had this premonition or thought that, I think Carly's probably going to die in this series. And I could see it kind of.
Agree.
Yeah, and I think it will be kind of a heartfelt, one of those villains who you're kind of man, I get it, but it's I kind of didn't want her to go. You know what I mean?
Kind of like your boy in Black Panther.
I didn't want to say it. Yep, didn't want to say it because I was that's a pretty epic, that's up here as far as the villains and, Marvel, and I wasn't ready to do that, but yeah, totally. It was exactly what I was thinking. So
Killmonger's up to somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So, obviously, like you guys mentioned, Sharon's following Walker. They have to they go there instantly because I'm a little lost on where he was going and what he was doing and why they wanted to go. I mean, it was just oh, Walker's in this place, go there. And I didn't connect with why that was. I mean, I don't know if I missed it, but I think
it might have been another ADR thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it might have been. I was just kind of okay, yeah, I know they're gonna go see Walker, cool. And then I get when Walker's there, oh, they took Lamar, okay, yeah. But it's you clearly see he took the serum, which was pretty interesting. He just bends the pipe, he starts knocking people out, and the first thing he does, he throws it was funny because when I saw it, he threw the shield into the wall. I'm like,
and John said, boop.
Yeah, I was that seems like he shouldn't be able to do that. And then he bends the pipe. I'm like, oh yeah, that bro, he took the serum. And I was like, all right, he's juiced. He's juiced for sure.
For sure. And even Sam noticed it when he kicked him off the stairs. My man was like, what the heck?
Yeah,
and
he's like, what did you do? Yeah, exactly. He's like, they took Lamar. And Sam's like, all right, I guess I'll go with you around. Sure.
See what's going on.
Yeah, so everything else from this point is just fight scenes, which the one thing I do want to mention before we get to that, towards the final scene, is again, I just love the way they did the choreography, I guess, for the fighting with Sam, because he hasn't had a lot of opportunity to fight with his wings. There's been a few scenes here and there in the movies, but not a lot. and they're just really like the clothesline with the wings. They're finding
great.
way, yeah, like the jetpack kicks. Like they're showing you like when he's kicking over these super soldiers, like he's finding a way without being a super soldier. Granted, it's aided by the pack and the wings. I don't know. I just and then Lamar jumps in the way, and you guys can kind of take from there. Mike, what are you seeing in all these fight scenes and how everything's going?
Yeah, no, I think that as soon as I saw that initial shield throw that went into the wall, I was like, oh no. I was like, I think I actually went, oh no. Like, I think I was like,
Oh no.
like, not that it mattered. Like, I knew he was going to take the serum, but it was still like, oh, he took the serum. All right, we're real now. But I'm with you. I think they've done this a lot, especially with Sam. He is like the perfect Falcon because he does use the wings so effortlessly to be able to combat someone who may be stronger, faster, whatever. So it is an assist, but it's also like, I think it's like, I'll use the term like smarter, not harder. Like,
True.
Hey, I know this guy might be stronger than me, but I'm going to do whatever I can to like still compete with him. And he's still a very good fighter. So
Right.
even with someone with super strength, like he can still hold his own, which shows how good of a hero he is. Where it's kind of like Batman. Like Batman doesn't have super strength, but he can still fight all these people that are stronger than him theoretically, maybe using gadgets and things. But it's like intellect. It's better. But I'm with you. Another good fight scene. Again, I like the choreography of the fighting in all episodes so far. And yeah, you just see I guess we go into Lamar going. I don't know if we want to get there. Eddie, do you want to talk about what your thought so far is?
For sure, I'll lead us in. The fight scene was dope. I do like what Mike said about how he uses the wings to his advantage. That's kind of his shield in a way. Is what he does with that. He used the jetpack back to the face, so like brought heat this one's face and they're freaking out. He did the clothesline, which is super dope. I do find it funny that they're like, what was it? Walker was like, yeah, what's with all the knives? Like they're always using knives. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, they're really, the choreography has been really solid in this show. And then they're fighting, and then Hoskins gets free from his weird like bathroom confinement. He runs upstairs and finds Walker, and then Carly's going to stab Walker because he's got him, they got him pinned, and then he jumps in and she just one punch to the wall, done. Dude's dead. And so that moment there was when all hell broke loose. And so what I thought was kind of wild though was that she punches him, he hits the wall, he dies, and they look at him like that wasn't gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like he dies, and they're like, "Oh God! Like, we weren't trying to do that while we were fighting with knives. We were just hoping to cut them and maybe like get out of here. But like, we just killed a guy. Like, it was kind of an interesting sequence. And I was like, I'd be like, we just killed this guy. We should probably leave. Like, we get the hell out of here.
It reminded me of Anchorman. Like, Brick killed a guy. Like, what did you think you were doing? Like. I agree. It was one of those things where it's like you're all fighting to probably either wrangle each other up or potentially kill. Like Walker isn't superhuman, so like Carly does that to him, he dies. Yeah. Like Carly does that to Sam, he dies. Like the only person who's really protected is Bucky and the rest of the Super Soldier crew in the Flag Smashers. But it was I laughed. I was like, "What? You're surprised that
Are you shocked by this?
Yeah. The human couldn't take a Super Soldier punch to the chest into a wall?"
Crazy. Yeah. And then so he gets popped. I'll let you finish, Thor.
No, go.
No, he gets popped, and then they all sprint away. Walker goes over there, and he's checking on him, and then he's gone, and he pulls a stunt that Cap pulled in Winter Soldier when he busts out the window and he lands in the car, and you're like, my man's definitely juiced. And he lands in the car, does a superhero landing, and then he sees Nico and starts the rundown, and he's chasing him, where is she? Which is very Batman-like, and then he keeps running around, and then Nico, he hits him with the shield in the back, gets him on the steps, and he does a move that Cap did in Civil War when he's like bringing his shield down and he's bringing on the dude's chest, and he kills the guy. And you're like, yo, two things. One, Everybody, the whole world's watching. Everybody has their phones out, circling the town square, just getting this footage. One dude was like 1 minute in. World star, heavy, heavy, bro. And he's doing it, and it's just his eyes are red. Like all he sees is red. Yeah. And it sucks that it was the guy who looks up to Captain America when he was a kid getting killed by a different one with the same, moniker, I guess you could say. Yeah. And that last shot with the blood on the shield and his hand is twitching, and you're like, this dude is an issue. We got to get him out of here. And everybody's looking all like stunned, and Carly was like blown away. But yeah, that was heavy. And it's funny how like Marvel will never show death close up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even when not Scarlet Witch, I was thinking Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow falls in Endgame, and when Thanos throws off what is her name? Gamora off, you never see them on the ground close up dead. It's a distance, but you know what happened. I love that they do that. It's kind of a mystery, but like they'll never show like full on death in a Marvel in a Marvel movie or show. Mike, I'll let you.
Yeah, no, I thought, like you said, everything leading up to that, he goes full on rage, crazy person.
Ape.
And the Shield Part 2, it was. I don't want to say it was awesome, but it was like awesome in a bad way, but awesome. Yeah. But you realize, like, the one thing I'll say too, right before that guy dies, he goes like, I didn't kill him. Like, he was very like, he's also like a super soldier. He's like, I didn't do anything. Like, It's funny because they were all trying to fight to hurt each other, and he's like, I didn't do anything.
Right.
It stinks that, again, there's foreshadowing. He was talking about how Captain America was a hero, and literally the shield he looked up to is the thing that killed him.
That's crazy.
And again, very aggressive, a lot of blood squirting everywhere, blood all over the place. Carly, when she sees it and sees like how he was murdered, like you can tell there's a part where usually like bad people like will see like something like that and not be like kind of horrified. She was like, oh, like it's getting real now. Oh my god. It was probably one of the cooler scenes, I would say. I don't want to call it cooler, but intense scenes for the MCU, and it being like Disney and all that stuff, where they really just try not to show that. And like I said, I think the closest to like an up close death they've shown that I can think of is when they killed Vision, because he like ripped the thing,
which was like, yo.
But other than that, you're right. It's always like long shots or far away, or you know. Same with Gamora. Gamora died. I mean, like it's it was a very intense scene. That the blood on the shield, to me, I was like, that's such a cool scene, but so wild.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. No, I agree with both you guys. I think that was just so heavy. The final scene was nuts. The rage in his eyes, just the fact he even put the shield back on, I was kind of like,
that was cold.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, and I you guys were talking about Carly teaming up with them, and I think you guys, I mean, after Mike, you just said the way she looked, I'm like, you know what, that could be the opening where she sees, like, you're right, like the way I'm fighting this isn't working. I am losing people I love. I need to do this differently. So I could potential, or she goes the other direction and says, no mercy, like, I am going after him. I am not stopping. This is going to be nonstop. So, that was obviously the end of the episode. Have you guys seen I think we texted it. So yeah, you've seen it.
The mid-season trailer. Let's go, baby.
Yeah. It was just like, I mean, my favorite, there wasn't a whole lot of new scenes in it. There was like 5 seconds worth of new clips or something like that, but
it was the end.
I'm gonna let Mike take this one. Take it. Just go ahead.
No, I would just say, it basically again, I don't know if this is going to be right after theoretically what the end of this episode was, but Sam and Bucky are getting that shield back. That is, and the best part about it was, I think Bucky's line at the end of it, Walker's like, you don't want to do this, and Bucky's like, yes, we do.
Yeah, we do. Like, I was like, let's go, man.
Like Walker. Hey, buddy, it's been nice knowing you.
Oh man, and then Sam looks at him like, okay, like we're doing this now. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I have to say, Sebastian Stan is slowly or quickly, whatever you want to comment, becoming one of my more favorite actors.
Yeah,
Just
dude.
like the way he delivers that line, and it's subtle. And Eddie, maybe you pick up stuff on this, but like the way I was looking, he's just looking down. There's a pause, and then there's the way he looks up and says, "Yeah, yes, we do." You know, and it was just
Right.
like there was no effing around in his face. You know what I mean?
No.
And he's just like, oh man, it's again. I feel like goosebumps on my arms, just like wanting to see that scene. So,
Oh my
I don't know.
God.
Yeah, Eddie, did you have anything else from that clip that you wanted to share?
I mean, that is, yeah. Oh my God, I'm just there's so much. So when Mike shared it, I was like, let me just take a minute to watch this. And then when it was over, I was like, that is, I'm waiting for that scene. I'm waiting for it because, like you said, it was so subtle. Because he was thinking about it, he was like, yeah, we do. And you're just like, oh, like, oh, okay, yeah. Because like he's been saying it the whole series.
Yeah.
And I think there was a part in one of the Marvel movies where like, I forgot. I think Cap might have said like you don't want to do this, like you don't want to fight me, and then he did.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, and you're just like, yes, dude. Like I cannot wait for that scene. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, it's dope. So that was the episode. You know, 2 more left. We're obviously looking forward to that. We'll cover those in a couple days now. I mean, it's you know, today's Tuesday, right? Yeah, when we're shooting this. So yeah, 13th.
Yeah.
So come out in a couple days. We'll check
Thursday
it out.
at midnight, I'm gonna be up.
I'm getting my second vaccine shot, so I'll be passed out. But
Hey.
you know, I'll watch it sometime on Friday. So if you guys made it this far, we appreciate you. Thanks for checking it out. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We're doing the 10K giveaway. Don't forget, once we get to 10,000 subscribers, we are going to be doing a giveaway. So click that subscribe button. There's a Discord link in the description below. You can join. It's free. You can maybe win some money or something. Who knows? So check that out. Hammer down like button. I think I covered all the notification stuff. Appreciate you guys stopping by. And until next time, have a wonderful day. See ya.